Giannis complains to the media about losing so much. Jimmy Butler says that the Warriors have a size and effort problem, and reports suggest that Anthony Davis is anticipating being traded this season. All of that and more on Week 6's edition of Rusty Buckets News. For our first story, the Warriors signed Seth Curry for the remainder of the season as his brother Steph goes down with a minor injury. Surely he'll be able to fill his shoes. This addition comes as they continue to hover around 500 and having Jimmy Butler expressing his frustrations to the media regarding the team's lack of effort and bad defense.
I think we're going to have to be damn near perfect. We ain't going to have the ultimate bailout on our team, but even when he is on the floor, we're going to have to do our job because as great of a basketball player as he is, he has a really hard job every single day. If he's got to be like the Batman of all Batmans and save us every night, like that ain't what he's here to do. We don't box out. We don't go with the scout report. We let anybody do whatever they want. Open shots, get into the paint, free throws. It's just sad. I don't care what Steve say. It's not on him and it's not on the coaches. Y'all can't see, but it's back there somewhere. They write everything up there for us to do, and they put us in the position of reception. We go over it the day before, the day of. We got to go out there and execute, man. So don't listen to Steve when he say this is on me and he got to be better. Nah, it's on these guys around the locker room.
The younger Curry brother does not help the Warriors' biggest needs, but it might be something that makes Steph a little happier if you're looking for a silver lining, I guess. The Warriors will have to get through their next several games without their best player, but at least the good news is Jonathan Kuminga returning to the court on Saturday night, and the Warriors took care of business against the New Orleans Pelicans. Not that that's particularly impressive. It's pretty sad that the state of this team is still so heavily defined by Stephen Curry being available or not. Like, at the age of 38, 37, I believe he's 38 this year, to have your success so heavily hinged on him at this point. It's just evidence of how poor this roster construction has been. And as much as Jimmy Butler likes to complain, I feel like his scoring aggression during the regular season is a big part of this problem. Since those back-to-back W's versus the Spurs, Golden State has failed to beat anybody besides for the Pelicans and Jazz, going 2-4 in their last 6 games. Kuminga can help fill some of the scoring gap, but definitely not the impact of Steph. And his size is good on the wing, even if it's only really used for scoring, but they still lack a proper starting caliber center, as Al Horford is just simply too old, and they keep having to start Draymond Green at the 5, which is really not ideal. Small ball 5 Draymond has always been a really effective thing, but more so as an option rather than a requirement. So are the Dubs looking like a serious postseason threat? Right now, it is not looking great, and my early season prediction, which I did briefly walk back because they did have an amazing first game to the season that made me be like, why would I ever doubt my king, Stephen Curry? But no, all the problems that were worrisome with the Warriors, like their lack of depth, over-reliance on Steph. Hell, I thought Al Horford would be better than he is, so that's made things even worse. I thought Jonathan Kuminga would be worse, but he started good and has not been as good lately. It's just kind of a shit show. Our next story is one where we are actually skipping right to the panic button and dedicating it to the Milwaukee Bucks. While the Golden State Warriors are definitely not in the most advantageous position right now, they've won their rings. Like, there's a lot of good shit happening there. And I mean, Milwaukee won a ring with Giannis too, but it's looking like that era might be coming to an end. Because the panic button is where at the top of every show we get the negative stories out of the way by asking if anyone needs to press the panic button. And spoiler alert, Milwaukee might need to, as they on their first 7-game losing streak since Giannis's rookie season, falling to 9-12, and they are currently either 10-12 or 9-13 following Monday's game versus Washington. You would hope that they could at least get it done against the Wizards. Quick update, they did not beat the Washington Wizards, and they actually lost in a pretty embarrassing fashion. Chris Middleton revenge game. And after this game, Giannis deleted a bunch of stuff from his social media, specifically stuff associated with the Milwaukee Bucks directly, pretty much all the way back to when he won a championship with them in 2021.
Giannis has done a lot of this, like, subtle nod type stuff before, so I'm not gonna hit the alarm bells still and be like, okay, this obviously means that he's gone. But it's not a positive sign. And though I did not watch that Wizards game, I will eventually because it seems like a pretty pivotal one. Seen a lot of people saying that he had bad body language in the game, seemed kind of uninvested in the result. I am saying what other people are saying. That's not my own personal take yet. Yeah, bear that in mind. I don't know how much should be read into this, but it's something. It's definitely not nothing, I would say. I think there's enough smoke here to be pondering the prospect of fire.
In that losing streak, they played without Giannis for 4 of those games, but on Friday, Giannis returned to action. This is versus the Knicks, and he dropped 30, 15, and 8, only to lose. And that loss eliminated them from the NBA Cup, and no repeats there, I guess, ending the possibility that they would be the first to ever do that back-to-back. Not that that's really a big deal, given that this is like the 3rd year, right? Following the game, Giannis expressed frustration at their losing streak.
We had the opportunity to go to Vegas twice in a row. Not going to Vegas, not be able to gamble on the 34 red one more time. I think it's going to be very, very tough for me. But at the end of the day, I just want to win. We've lost 7 in a row. I don't remember last time I lost 7 in a row. We lost 7 in a row, so we just got to lock in.
Their matchup with the Nets on Saturday night gave them an opportunity to bounce back from this losing streak, and they won convincingly 116-99. The silver lining there is that Ryan Rollins stepped up in Giannis's absence and had a few big games despite the losing. Giannis said, "I don't think I've seen a jump like that in my career," when asked about Rollins. Their remaining schedule this week includes 2 games versus Detroit, the top team in the East right now, and a game versus Philly in between them, which is not ideal for a team with their finger on the panic button. Is it time that we finally see those Giannis trade rumors start to actualize? Should Milwaukee push the panic button and initiate a full rebuild, or is this merely a bump in the road on the way towards contending again? Well, I would personally say that Giannis has been out, and losing to the Knicks is not that big of a deal. And they could probably turn this ship around and ultimately still be a playoff team in the Eastern Conference. But my biggest issue with this Bucks team has proven to still be a major issue, which is just they ain't shit without Giannis. They are just not a good team without Giannis. Even with Ryan Rollins being as impressive as he has been, he's not really a star caliber guy, at least not right now. And there's just not enough offense here. And they're not even that good of a defense without Giannis. Miles Turner is really the only super positive defender. Ryan Rollins is a pretty good defender as well, but they just don't really have it without him, and they will probably only ever lose games without him for the most part, unless it's against some truly bottom of the barrel teams. And when Giannis is not there, they are one of the bottom of the barrel teams. So no, I don't think they're going to be making a Giannis trade this season, but once again, things are just not looking all that great for the Milwaukee Bucks, and I feel like it can only continue to be disappointing for so long before he eventually cracks and asks out. But no, I don't think they need to hit the panic button yet, but I'm certainly looking at it and sweating if I'm in the front office of Milwaukee. But with that out of the way, let's talk about some good stuff, starting with our big games of the week. On Tuesday night, CJ McCollum had a huge game in the Wizards NBA Cup victory over the Hawks, getting a season high in both points with 46 and three-pointers with 10 makes. Felt like he could not miss in that game. He was throwing them up in the first quarter and everything was going, so it was pretty evident that he was hot from the very beginning, and he just carried that hot streak all the way to 46. Peyton Pritchard dropped a season-high 42 points, the second 40-point game of his career, in a 117-115 victory over the Cavs on Sunday night. The Cavs have been pretty disappointing this year. Anthony Edwards had 39, while Jaylen Brown had 41 in the Wolves' victory over the Celtics on Saturday night. Edwards making a huge game-clinching three, but Jaylen Brown hitting essentially the game-winning fadeaway mid-range shot off glass. Jalen Johnson had a career-high 41 points in a wild 142-130 for Hawks' victory over the Sixers in double overtime, with Maxey having 44 in the same game. But Johnson closed the game with 2 threes in the second overtime to give Atlanta the win. Cooper Flagg had a 35-8-2 game in the 114-110 Dallas win over the struggling Clippers on Saturday night. This is Flagg's highest scoring game of his career thus far, and it makes him the youngest player in NBA history to score 35 plus, and he is the second player to ever put up 30 or more at the age of 18 with LeBron. So, yeah, you can probably guess who it would be. It's LeBron. Zach Edey capped the week off with 32-17 on 16 of 20 shooting in a 115-107 Grizzlies win over the Kings. He did all of that in just 29 minutes, and this marks the third straight win for the Grizzlies, who are starting to turn things around. Zach Edey's really good, dude. I believe in that guy. Klay Thompson's kind of been heating up ever since Ja called him a bum and starting the season looking completely washed. He got 6 threes in that game and then hit 6 threes again versus the Clippers in a rare win for Dallas, where he had 17 points in the fourth quarter. But none of those players were quite good enough to win Player of the Week,
as that honor goes to Luka Doncic of the Los Angeles Lakers, them going 3-0 in this last week while he was putting up 37, 9, and 10. And out east, the New York Knicks have looked better after a kind of weird start to the season, with Jalen Brunson winning Eastern Conference Player of the Week, averaging 29 and 4.5 assists. This is the first Player of the Week award for both Luka and Jalen Brunson this year.
Let's take a look at the standings.
Detroit stands at the top still with a 17-4 record. New York has been better lately. Miami is 14-7, as is Toronto, who have had some difficult losses lately, so maybe they're falling back down to earth, but I don't know. I personally, I feel high on Toronto right now off of what I've seen so far. Questionable who's the bigger surprise in the East. I would probably go Toronto between them and Detroit, but wasn't expecting Detroit to be the first seed. Orlando is 13-8. They're winning without Paolo Banchero. Interesting conversation to be had there. Cleveland is 13-9. And yeah, that's just brutal, as they were the favorites to win the Eastern Conference going into the year. And they were ranked as the third most likely team to win the championship per preseason odds. But injuries and inconsistency have put them in a tough spot. Coach Kenny Atkinson is particularly concerned about their transition defense because the Cavs are 23rd in points allowed in transition. Atlanta is 13-9, Boston 11-9, Philadelphia 10-9, Chicago is 9-11. God damn it, god damn it, god damn it. Milwaukee 9-13, PU barely doing better than the Charlotte Hornets at 6-15, and of course, as always, at the bottom of the East, we just have some completely dog shit teams. Though I will say the Indiana Pacers have looked a little bit better lately. Out west, OKC, 20-1. What more do you want me to say about that? Have you heard of the 40 wins, 20 losses rule? What about the 20 wins, 1 loss rule? The Lakers are the 2 seed at 15-5, Houston at third with 13-5, and Denver is 14-6 following a loss to the Mavs in a game where Jamal Murray sprained his ankle. There was also no Aaron Gordon, though Peyton Watson has been stepping up in that role lately. San Antonio's 13-7, Minnesota 12-8, Phoenix 13-9, Golden State is 11-10, Memphis is 9-12. They have been better lately, so it's looking better. And Zach Edey has been absolutely cooking since he has returned, so looking like a possible second-year leap from him. Portland 8-12, Utah 7-13, Dallas 7-15, Sacramento 5-16, LA 5-16, New Orleans 3-18. But now it is time for our Watch, the part of the show where you watch me tell you about the games that I watched this season, and particularly in the last week. I watched a lot of games from like literally over a week ago recently, so there's not actually that many of the last week that I have watched. But I watched Magic Celtics, really enjoyed what I saw from Josh Minot in that game. He went on an absolute scoring tear. Lakers and Jazz, the second game that they played against them, because of course I got to check in on LeBron. The Minnesota Timberwolves versus Sacramento Kings game on November 24th is the worst fourth quarter offense between both of these teams. It was like they were both trying to lose. Pistons Pacers was a good one. CJ McCollum dropping 46 against the Atlanta Hawks on the 25th. Old man James Harden tried to get past the Lakers, and that did not work. LeBron had his first 20-piece of the season. Minnesota, despite losing to the Kings in overtime earlier that week, managed to put up a fight against the OKC Thunder, keeping that game very close until the end. The Sixers played the Brooklyn Nets, and Jared McCain had a 20-point game. Had to check in for that. Hopefully that means he is on the right path to having a great second year.
Now, before we get to rapid fire and this week's highlights, I want to show this one weird clip where a LaMelo Ball pass just goes right off of the face of Jalen Brunson. It's not really news, but it's funny.
See somebody open, try to get him with the left hand off the dribble. Oh, wow. Ball. Oh.
And finally, it's time for rapid fire, which as we near the end of each show, we hit you with the rest of the news as fast as possible. If we miss something, let us know in the comments. But up first, all 31 suspects in the NBA's betting scandal case were hauled into a Brooklyn court on Monday. The U.S. Attorney Michael Gibaldi, it seems like Gibaldi, told the court the plea negotiations have already begun. The feds flipping some of the defendants could give us more details on the case in the coming months. Luka Doncic called the NBA Cup court slippery and dangerous after Tuesday night's Cup game against the Clippers. When the team played their next Cup game on Friday, their normal court was used instead. The Lakers star seemed to appreciate the move as Austin Reeves had 38 and Doncic had 35 and 11 in the Lakers' win over the Mavericks on Friday night. The duo spoiled AD's first game in LA since the trade. And speaking of the NBA Cup, the tournament is officially set, with the quarterfinals beginning on December 9th, with the Magic taking on the Heat and the Raptors taking on the Knicks. The West bracket includes the Thunder, Suns, Lakers, and Spurs, but nobody seems to have a grip on how the Cup works except superfans. Even players have been at the podium visibly confused about what their current Cup status is, which is always a good sign. Rudy wants me to make a video about how to fix the Cup by using divisions. Comment if you want to see that over on Little Rusty. I really can't bring myself to care about the Cup, to be honest. The NBA's Netflix series Starting Five has been canceled. The show debuted in 2024 and it went for 2 seasons before the cancellation. The show followed 5 players with behind-the-scenes looks into their season. The reasoning for the move is lower than expected viewership. Yeah, me personally, haven't watched a second of it, other than maybe like a clip on Twitter. There are reports that Anthony Davis expects to be traded this season, and that's not all that shocking. Normally, you don't get reports that a player themselves expects that, but nevertheless, I think everyone expects that at this point. Apparently, the Bulls have discussed a potential trade internally for the hometown star, but they don't want to give up any core pieces. So, I don't know, it's probably going to be Vucevic, and I guess you can also do Patrick Williams. That gets you to 38 million. But bro makes like 60. Like, it's really hard to get enough money. So, like, how are you going to not trade a core piece when all of your core pieces are paid? Whatever. The Bulls have also been tied to trade rumors for Domantas Sabonis, with Vucevic's expiring contract being a major trade piece that the Bulls have going into this deadline. God damn, please do not trade for Sabonis. Zach LaVine is in trade rumors as well, with the Bucks reportedly having done background due diligence on him. LaVine has said he doesn't know if he'll pick up his player option for the next season, but I'm willing to bet he won't get offered more than maximum $30 million, so I imagine he'll just take the extra 18 there. But maybe he actually really cares about being competitive at the end of his career, because he's already 30 now, and he's only played in 4 playoff games. The Sacramento Kings are known to be interested in a rebuild, and LaVine could be a good fit next to Giannis on the struggling Bucks. Ironically, that is the one playoff series he was in, was getting smacked by the Bucks. Devin Booker gave an insightful post-game speech about the Thunder's historic defense following the Thunder's win over the Suns. The secret is out. They play aggressive, they'll grab, they'll hold, but never like when you're in a shooting position. Fans constantly complain about the officiating in Thunder games, and I do understand it because it can be inconsistent, but I think Booker here managed to sum up what makes their defense so successful while simultaneously being so controversial. Kyle Kuzma had similar comments about the challenge of playing defense following the Bucks matchup with New York, mentioning Jalen Brunson specifically.
I think he's a hell of a player. Obviously, you got to watch him because he understands the rules and he understands what the refs are looking for. So that plays into it too, especially defensively. You know, you don't want to be too much on his body because he stops and pops and gets little measly fouls. You know what I mean? So he just understands how to play the game.
NBA players seem to be trying to professionally call out the refs in a passive way that doesn't get them fined and give the NBA at large a harder time of ignoring the officiating problem. And yeah, that is it. Here are our plays of the week that we'll be playing right now, at least some of the most interesting plays of this week, not necessarily just the best ones, but what we enjoyed here over at Rusty Buckets Co. If you would like to support this content, there are a couple of ways to do it. First and foremost, we do have a Patreon, which you can join for $3 a month. Or if you want to get it a little bit cheaper, but get a bit more of a bulk package, you can do a 1-year $24 plan. If you join the Patreon, there is also access to a private Discord with a lot of like-minded basketball fans. Different opinions in there, but everyone's respectful and chill because at the end of the day, as LeBron likes to say, it is just basketball. Cheeky is also one of our sponsors. You can click that link below, get some soap, get yourself smelling good. Also, there is a couple of pretty big updates coming around the corner for basically all of the channels, so keep an eye out for that. But as for what our play of the week is, at least the one that I personally picked, we have Steven Adams getting the stop on the defensive end and then running the floor, getting the ball right at the rim and dunking all over Kyle Filipowski. Something about this dunk is just super satisfying to me. The way he just realizes he's open, goes straight up, hangs on the rim after, it's just so smooth. Very enjoyable. Definitely not the most impressive play of this week, but the one that I got the most enjoyment out of. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. And of course, the best way to support without giving us any kind of money, drop a like, hype the video. If you're on mobile, that's the best way to get it launched into the YouTube algorithm. But that is it. Goodbye.